What's up guys, Lewis here from Indie back with another indie game review, and this time we are checking out a pretty massive game, and that is A Plague Tale Innocence, which is developed by Asobo Studios and brought to us by, of course, Focus Home Interactive. Now this game was initially shown off at Gamescom 2 years ago, and that's where it kind of grabbed my interest, and since then I've been so excited to play the game. I've had the pleasure of playing it this last week, and I'm here now with my full impressions of the full game. I have finished it, so I'm going to kind of dive into it. I will say straight off the bat now, this is a complete spoiler-free review. I'm going to very much tread very carefully around any story spoilers, because this game is a strict story-driven game. It has so much emphasis on its story, and I'll get into that in a lot more detail as we get into the review. But yeah, this is a complete spoiler-free, so if you want to know about the game, if you want to hear my full impressions over 15-20 minutes, really hear me chew the fat on the different game mechanics and all that, then please stick around. A little word of warning, we don't score games anymore, so if you're here for 20 minutes and you get annoyed at the end because there's no score, then go somewhere else, I'm afraid, guys. Somewhere else will score games for you. You want to mark it out of 10, out of 100, whatever, by all means, crack on. We don't. We go through a mature conversation about the game, and then you, obviously, we trust you to make your own opinion up at the end. But enough about that. Let's dive into it. You're here because you want to hear me talk about A Plague Tale Innocence, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's kick straight off with the real meat of the game, and that is the story. That's what this game is. It is a straight up story game, and as I get through the story elements or the non-spoiler story elements, it will kind of lead into gameplay and other mechanics in the game. So, if you don't know, A Plague Tale Innocence is set in 1300s France. You play as Amika and Hugo, or you play as Amika, which is the sister to Hugo. Hugo is a young boy, a 5-year-old boy who is ill. And for circumstances, basically you must move Hugo or help travel with Hugo, or help Hugo travel, shall I say, across France, okay? You travel to different locations. You need to travel across France for different reasons. I'm not going to go into that because that's kind of spoilerish straight away, and I don't want to do that. And that's the main story element of the game. Obviously, there's a lot more going on there. Now, this France that's from a Plague Tale is seriously harrowing, and it honestly one of the most raw environments I've ever played in a video game. So in the 1300s, there's this plague has broken out in this pictation of France, and this plague is what in the game they refer to as the bite. And the bite is it kind of travels around with rats. A rat bites you, it carries a plague, they get ill, people die, it's pretty bad. Throw on top of that, you've got the English Inquisition are kind of currently moving through France, and for some unknown reason, they want Hugo. You don't know much about it. The best way I can describe this game, and this isn't spoilers for anything going on, it's very much like Last of Us. That's the best thing I can point out in terms of you'll play as a character who's looking to protect another character who a lot of people are trying to get. Very different reasons why they're trying to get them, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what I'm going on there, because I don't want to tread into any story notes or spoil anything, as I've said about 20 million times now. So that is the main story of the game. As you move your way through France, different gameplay mechanics will open up. One thing I will say is the game starts as it goes on, and that is brilliant. I should probably get off the bat. The game starts as it goes on. That's brilliant, okay? It's taken me that long to say that. It shouldn't have taken me 5 minutes to tell you that the game is very, very good. Now, it starts off with a kind of dog walking tutorial. Amika is walking with her dad and walking her dog in the forest. You have a sling, and he kind of teaches you how to sling. It's a very family affair, and it sets the tone for the game really nicely. As soon as like the darkness starts coming into the game, it still sets the family tone. This is a family game, not as in sit down and play it with your kids. Please don't do that, because this game is horrible at times. But in terms of you connect to these people, and the characterization is there straight away, and that's one thing that Asobo Studios have done so well, is making you feel for these characters. So when stuff happens to them or to friends or around them, you're like, oh my god, like I'm playing as this kid, and I don't want them to be going through this situation. I don't want them to be in this environment. I don't want this going on with them. And you feel for them, and that's credit to what Asobo Studios have done with the characterization of these characters. And that all comes from the way it starts. This tutorial that just starts off as a family dog walk, just spirals and spirals and spirals, and the game just goes on and on and on. And that leads into the pacing. This game is so well paced. I don't want to tell you how long the game is, because that is kind of a spoiler, because the ending came when I wasn't completely expecting it to come, and I don't want to tell you exactly how many hours, but the game is really well paced. There's not one time I thought, oh, this is dragging on a bit now, or I wish they kind of got on with this now, or it just felt nice. It just felt like as this story note was uncovered, then this one was uncovered, then this one was uncovered. There was a couple of times when I would achieve something in the story, and then they'd say, oh, let's go do this now. And I'm like, that feels like a lot of backtracking, but it's not at all. The game does a good way of kind of teleporting you past a lot of the fluff and going, oh, look, you're at this location now where we were just speaking about. I'm like, oh, I don't have to travel there. That's cool. I'm happy. You got me back in the thick of it. Which leads us onto gameplay. The main gameplay going on in A Plague Tale Innocence is it's a stealth game. It's straight up a stealth game. There's other adventure elements going on, which I'll tap into in a second, but I'd say 70% of the game you're going to play for is going to be played in a stealth environment. Now, as a Mika, you're kind of, you know, you have Hugo. Sometimes you have other people with you. Hugo is your little brother. Sometimes you have other people with you that you find along the way. Now, Amika's in charge. You control Amika. Now, the stealth is very much, they all kind of huddle onto you, which is quite a nice little touch. Hugo's this 5-year-old boy who's petrified of everything going on around him, and he's going to huddle onto you. And as you're walking, the animation is really nice. Of when he gets scared, something happens, he kind of grabs onto your leg or holds your hand, and that happens quite nice. Another person you meet later in the story does exactly the same. They're slightly older than Hugo, but they're still a kid. And the puzzle, I'll get into puzzles in a minute. The stealth element comes through trying to maneuver Hugo and yourself past guards and also past these rats, which then leads on to the puzzle element. So before I touch on the puzzles, the stealth is good. The stealth isn't brilliant. I'm not going to sit here and say the stealth is amazing. It's not Metal Gear Solid 5, but the stealth is very, very good. It works when it needs to work. Yeah, I got caught a couple of times, not because the game broke in its stealth mechanics, because I just suck at stealth games. The reason it's not great is because the guards are pretty dumb sometimes. There's times when you have to throw pots or you throw stones to kind of attract the attention of guards, and I can literally be standing right behind the guard, pretty much throw the rock over their head, and then they'll go, oh, what was that noise? They won't see the fact this comes straight from behind me, and that kind of is a little bit like, oh, this is being very easy for me. It's being very, it's kind of tampered down and simplistic to make it. So yeah, the stealth does feel like it's almost kind of tampered down, a little bit babyfied. But then that goes on to the puzzles. Now, these stealth elements kind of go into puzzles as well, where you have the ability or mechanics to kind of make Hugo or whoever else is with you wait somewhere where you kind of make your way through a dangerous stealth environment to then call them over or to send them off to get through a little gap that you can't get through and go back around and meet them. That's one of the puzzle elements. Another puzzle element, and probably the most prominent puzzle element, and one is very simple, but the rats make it feel very good, is the ability or the way the game throws these rats at you, and you have to use different environmental hazards, I suppose, to kind of make your way through it. For example, you have the ability to craft different alchemy recipes. One of them could be fire. One of them can be this kind of stuff that attracts the rats, whatever it is. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but the idea is then you can create fire because the rats are scared of fire, and that creates a little safe haven and a mini circle that you can get into, and the rats can't touch you. You can create another one that attracts the rats to get past them, and you're given these again at a really good pace. Like, I never felt like I'd had one ability or one alchemy recipe for too long and I couldn't do anything with it. I felt like I didn't feel like I'd outgrown it. I felt like as soon as I'd had enough of it, another one was given to me, and another one, and another one, and another one. And the game is always mixing up its puzzle mechanics, especially with these rat environments where you're, oh, I can do this one now, I can do this one. Which then goes on to the stealth even further, or stealth and puzzles, where you kind of come to these little very mini open stage sections. And what I noticed about these are, you're free to attack these or approach these however you choose. If I want to go dodge through the rats by doing the fire, then throw this one to attract them, or even sending the rats off to kill a guard by knocking out their torch, I can. Or I don't have to kill anyone. There are times the game does kind of force you into making decisions that necessarily wouldn't fit in with the characters, I feel, but that is in the extreme situation, so maybe it would fit in with the characters. You don't know in that situation, life or death situation, I'm pretty sure Amika's going to do anything to protect herself and her brother. But a lot of the time, you can get through these environments as you can, which is it's nice to have that play style. Nice for the developers to trust you as the player to kind of approach it how you want. And that was something that I took away from the game. Was like, that was really nice, actually. They never felt boring or got stale, because if something wasn't working, I'd just go another way. And that worked absolutely fine and worked really well. So as I said, you do get these alchemy recipes, and you also got a sling, which I mentioned a little while ago. These can be leveled up. What you can do as you go through the world, you get crafting materials, you get alchemy materials, or materials. And these materials can be used to level up. Slings can be used to level up your pockets, can be used to make you quieter when you're sneaking, can be used to allow you to hold more ammunition. And then these can be done at crafting benches. They're kind of scattered throughout the world. As you're making your way through, you find a crafting bench, much like Last of Us, as I mentioned earlier, but not as in depth, I would say. Like, you kind of, the maximum you get is about 8 different options. And I mean, if you want to max them out, you do really need to hunt for different materials, like to get enough of them. And it also comes into some decision making with these materials, in terms of when I was getting the new ammunition types or alchemy recipes. I was very much going, as soon as I got them, you just hold down R1 on. I was playing on the gamepad on PC, but I held down R1 and I spanned the wheel to whatever one I wanted to, and I held down A, and then all of a sudden, or X, and all of a sudden it would just craft that item for me. Every time I got materials, I kept doing that to make sure I had enough ammunition or materials to get myself for environments. But then I'd come to a crafting bench and realise that, wait a minute, I don't have enough to level up anything, because I spent all my materials on this. Which then, after about halfway through the game, I started realising, I'm just going to craft what I need on the go, because it's pretty quick, and because it's mostly stealth, you don't have to craft in real time and be like, oh my god, I'm panicking, I need this. So that does rely on you a little bit, like very minor kind of RPG element, in terms of, do I level up my gear, or do I make sure I have lots of ammunition and approach these stealth sections and puzzle sections in any way I want. And the last kind of puzzles are very classic, I'm going to say Uncharted style puzzles, much like ones that aren't going to completely bamboozle your brain, but they will require a little bit of thinking. You'll get somewhere and you'll look at something and go, okay, there's a fire pit there, there's a fire pit there, I need to get across there, there's rats here, okay, there's stones on the wall, there's some kind of symbol on the wall, does that mean something? And that classic kind of Tomb Raider or Uncharted style puzzles, and they fit in well with the game. Like, these puzzles fit in well. They didn't feel like they're out of place. They felt organically set in the game, and that was just really nice. But yeah, that's what the game offers. I feel like I've not touched on anything really here, because I can't say anything about the story. But to wrap it up, guys, I just want to say that I thoroughly enjoyed playing this game. This game was a lot of fun, like really, really was. And there were tiny little things that irritated me. And there was one that I don't know why it irritated me so much throughout playing the whole game, because it's such a weird one. But this game is set in France. Amika, Hugo, pretty much everyone you meet is French. They speak English with a French accent, which is what I don't understand. Why is everyone speaking English? Like, this is France. This is 1300s France. Everyone should be speaking French. And I know people will be like, oh, but I don't want to read subtitles. Oh, I get that. But it just felt, as I was playing it more, it didn't feel like it completely sat, because they've done such an amazing job. This game is gorgeous. This game is absolutely gorgeous, like stunning. And they've done such a nice job creating this harrowingly stunning France. But when people are speaking English in a French accent, I was like, I don't really know why. You're French and you're speaking to another French person, but you're speaking in English. I know it's a video game, and I know it's designed for us, and that's just one very small, tiny little gripe I had, and the other one was the stupid guards. Other than that, I didn't have anything bad to say about the game. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. If you're looking for like a dark, it's not a seriously dark, a dark adventure game that, what makes it feel darker is that it plays on human emotions. It plays on the idea of like a family going through a terrible ordeal, and it plays on that, and everyone can relate to that, even if you haven't got a brother or a sister. Just being in that situation with someone you care about and doing anything you can, taking any step or any measure you can to protect that person, is what A Plague Tale: Innocence does so well. Like, and it sucked me in from the moment, and throughout the whole story, I was grabbed and I enjoyed it. And like I said, the pacing was spot on. If you're looking for a single player, story-driven game that is going to suck you in, it's going to take you for an emotional roller coaster, it's going to throw you around the place a little bit, offer some puzzles and some stealth mechanics along the way, then do not look any further than this game. Okay, it's not perfect, no, but it's very good, and I've not played, in all honesty, sat here right now, I can't tell you the last time I played a story-driven adventure game that I've been so invested in since A Plague Tale: Innocence. And that's me being completely honest. I play a lot of games, and I finished it and I wanted to play it again straight away, which is testament to the game. I'm not going to, because as I said, it is an emotional roller coaster, this game. It sucks you in and it kind of throws you around the place a little bit. But I will be playing this game again, no doubt about it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. In terms of replayability, yeah, there are collectibles you can find along the way. They give a little bit more story to the world around you. Hugo can find these plants that kind of give a bit more insight into the different alchemy stuff and all that. But on the whole, I just wanted to play it again because the way it delivered the story, it was raw, it was visceral, it was in your face, it was harrowing. I've said that word so many times now, but it was. I really, really, really enjoyed it, and that's what I want you to take away from this review. It paces well. Every puzzle or ability mechanic or alchemy recipe you get fits in with what the game's trying to do. Nothing feels out of place. You don't all of a sudden get given this ability, you're like, well, that's just not right. That just wouldn't fit in with it. It all feels organic. It all fits nicely. And that's what A Plague Tale: Innocence does really well. And yeah, take from that as you will. It's definitely not a niche market, because a single player story-driven adventure game isn't a niche market. But I know if you're looking for a competitive game, if you're looking for a multiplayer game, then obviously this isn't for you. But a lot of people I know who love story-driven games will love A Plague Tale: Innocence. And I recommend it. It gets my full thumbs up. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And that's going to wrap up the review, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video. If you're still watching now, then great. If you're playing a game, or you're thinking about playing a game, or you want to ask me any more questions, then ask them in the comments below. I respond to every single comment. If it's just a comment about good review, I'm just going to give you a thumbs up. I'm going to like it. Cheers. Thank you very much. If it's one actually asking about the game, of course I'm going to reply. Okay, I want you guys to ask me anything and I will reply. I'll give you complete honest answers about the game. Quick little point on performance. I played it on like a mid-tier PC. It's running on my PC knowledge is terrible. It's running an RX 580 4GB graphics card. The game ran fine. Towards the end, when you get like obscene amounts of rats on the screen, I'm talking like a sea of rats, I had tiny little frame rate drops, but that's pretty much guaranteed down to my PC rather than anything else. But that's a kind of little minor note there. Nothing that happened performance-wise took it out the experience I was having with the game. But no, guys, thanks so much for stopping by and watching the video, watching the review. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up. It really does make me smile. And if you like what we do at Indie Credible, want to keep up to date with more indie game content, including news, reviews, previews, and of course the weekly podcast, then make sure you subscribe. And if you really like what we do at Indie Credible, guys, then why not head into the comments below or head into the description below. You can find the link to our Patreon channel, and you can get exclusive pre- and post-show podcast content and access to our Indie Credible Discord, where we jump over there. We play games with our patrons. We give away game keys. We just have general indie game bants and fun over there. Feel free to check out Patreon. And if you're interested, come and join the Indie Credible community over there. Once again, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great morning, day, evening, wherever it is, wherever you are. And until next time, goodbye.